here. So here's a new command. So I'm going to generate this new variable called date2. And this is substring. Stands for substring. So take a substring out of period after, the 16th space. So think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and then one up there, there's another one up there that's 16. So after the 16th space, pull that out and just give me that. That's basically what that command is doing. It's actually a pretty cool command. So I just did that, and let's tab it. What did I call it? Date2. There we go. So go through and check it. Everything looks good. So now we're back to where we normally are in with respect to our date variable. Okay, now we can just generate a date variable, which we've done 100 times before. And that's that command we've done. Again, those are the number of days since January 1st, 1960. We just got to basically format that. %D. TD will also work. So we just want to list these and make sure that they're the same. So they're formatted a little bit differently, but we can see that 18th of December 2004, at least the first ones are right. We should probably check the last ones too. And we can do that with something like put minus 10 and that's an L. Excuse me, that's an L. Our last one's correct. November 9th, 2013. Yeah, so everything looks good. So it looks like we did it right. So nice little command. Stata does most things we needed to do. Tab item. So these are all the St. Supri items in the data set. So they got cabs, they got Chardonnays, Merlots, Meritage. MSC is something. Riesling, Sauvignon Blanc. These are all the prices and all those things. Holy cow. No, $227. I thought that was $227. I was going to say, holy cow, that doesn't look right. That's case volume. One of the things that this person did was he started, apparently, according to him, if you read his blog, his website, where he advertises his services, he started Cab Day, I guess. Has anyone ever heard of Celebrate Cab Day? No, I never. But apparently, according to him, it's a huge deal. But he started it there, and it was a huge success.
What's the P10, P90 price?
Prices at the 90th percentile and 10th percentile.
Okay.
So the lowest 10% of the price, lowest, this kind of gives you a range of the price. So on average, that Cabernet Sauvignon, Napa Valley Cabernet Sauvignon sold for about 55 bucks. But you can get it, 10% of the time you can get it, the lowest price you can get it, the 10th percentile was 27 bucks. And it goes up to 75 bucks at the 90th percentile. I think I already dropped Cases of Zero, and so yeah, these are the only brands in here. The same subject. So what we want to do is essentially calculate we don't really care about these individual SKUs. If we were going to analyze, for example, Cab Day, we might want to do that, but I haven't done that. But essentially what we want to do is add up all the cases and just look at overall sales. And that's what this is. So, 2 commands. By a new date, an item. Well, I guess we're doing this by new date and item. So by new date and item, EGEN stands for extensions on generate, and kind of like gen. So I got to give it a name, and the name I called it is pretty long. Total Cases SS St. Supri. And actually, you don't need all that brand stuff because that's I guess I constructed these when the full data set with other brands. But just basically add up the cases by brand, by item, and then add up the cases, and then add up the prices for each item. And for these, I don't want to sum up the prices, I want to take the average price. That's why I looked at those kind of 90th and 10th percentile prices. There's going to be a lot of variation in prices, so let's just look at the average price. All right, now we can take a look at the data. And one of the things that we don't really care about is market. So we don't really need to distinguish among food, drug, and liquor stores. And that's what we're doing. So if we don't add up the data, we would have to analyze sales at drugstores, sales at grocery stores, plus sales at liquor stores. So we don't really care. We're just going to add them all up. Does that make sense? Yeah. Do we care whether social media results in greater sales at the drugstore or grocery stores? We don't really. We already did our analysis of the 3 chains, which was awesome. All right, so what does this look like? So these are all the individual SKUs, and these are cases sold. So clearly some of them pretty low volume here, and I'm sure there's a price decrease there. This one didn't exist much until the end. As these ones also. This sucker died, but started to come back to life a bit. This one's dying here too. So we're going to add all these up anyways. I just wanted to take a look at the data set, and what you don't want to see is, for example, is what if St. Supri had purchased another brand, for example, right? and all of a sudden there was a whole bunch of new brands at the very end, and maybe that's why that's when they decided to hire a social media manager, and maybe that's why sales would have went up. Sales could have went up if they had all these new brands that are calling now St. Supri. So that's really what we're looking for. We're just looking for data anomalies. Yeah, there's a couple of brands that came online kind of later in the data set. But let's just give them the benefit of the doubt. That's what I'm doing. I'm trying to be as objective as possible and give the benefit of the doubt to our social media manager. Again, who has a business doing this? Ooh, we got a job update. There is an outlier, but I'm going to drop it probably. All right, these are prices. And again, new wines coming online. So we don't see a whole lot of wild in this. But we know on average prices fell over time. And we can combine those two. Yeah, so as you know, and if you haven't figured it out by now, I'm a huge proponent of the law of demand. I just think price is going to explain most things for us. Look at this picture. This is an X. Cases dying, prices rising. Look at this one. Literally mirror images of each other, demonstrating the law of demand. And again, I can't tell you how many times I've been told the law of demand doesn't hold in the wine industry. Here, I mean, we should, at least us in this class, will put that to rest. But people in the wine industry still insist that wine is different than every other product. And I say, no, it's not. It's just like toilet paper. Nobody cares. But it's my family, my name, blood, sweat, and tears, blah, blah, blah. Nobody gives a rat's ass. And that's one of the problems with the wine industry is too much emotion. Like Michael Corleone says, it's just business. Okay, so those are the individual SKUs, but again, we don't even care about the individual SKUs. So we're just going to add up everything. I don't care which SKUs responded more to social media. I mean, we can break the data down, but for us, we're just gonna, again, notice the by part. By date, add up everything. Add up all the cases. So EGIN, I'm gonna call this total cases 2. So this is just all the cases. And again, we don't need any of that stuff because, actually we shouldn't even have done that last one, but we'll leave it. We're just going to add up all the cases. You know something? You don't even need this stuff. Well, no, I guess you do need it. Why do we need the 750 in there? There has to be a reason why I put that in there. But why did I?
But there were some 375s in there when you brought it to the.
And why would that matter, though?
He's trying to compare the same sizes to each other.
Yeah, but do we care?
Well, it's a different product.
Yeah, but do we care? We're just looking at total volume. Do we care?
We're looking at pricing too.
Yeah, prices are going to make a difference, right? So the price of a 350 is half, let's say, or 375. It's going to be half. So it's really, if we were just looking at case volume, I wouldn't care. But we're also looking at price, and we're going to use this price in our regression. But because we're looking at price, we want to standardize it so we're not mixing up small bottles with big giant 1.5.
All we need is size. Everything is St. Supri, so all we need is size, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah. All right. So now we don't have any individual brands. I was trying to keep his name out of it, but his name's Rick Backus. You would have read the article anyway, so, or maybe not. See Backus Media website. And again, he stayed until 10:10, so. And again, this is why this is somewhat sensitive. I don't want to write a paper saying Rick Backus sucks, because that's really when it boils down to. His website, when he went off on his own off the success of St. Cyprian. We're saying that, according to our analysis, you had nothing to do with that success. They just lowered price and started promoting more aggressively, and the economy turned around. Dumb freaking luck, you got hired at about that same time. That's just, like I said, stumbling into good luck. That's, tripping in, it's like Jed Clampett, finding oil, shooting and finding oil. That's, so, yeah, if I do write this as a paper, it'll probably be an anonymous Napa Valley winery and a social media manager who we don't know. Although we'll be winking, that's right back. So everyone will, be one of those worst kept secrets. All right, this is a really long. All that huge do file for that one graph, and mostly because I changed the colors. This is for the PowerPoint. So yeah, this is the big graph that we looked at. It's just sales of all wines.
So we didn't have to do the cases too necessarily, it's just if we'd run it the first time, that would have been enough, the totaling?
No, cases, what cases one did, and this is price, but what cases, and there's a price one also, but what cases one did was add up across all three,
all three channels.
Markets, channels, yeah. And so that we can look at the individual SKUs without having to break them down by channel. What cases one does is just add up everything. Just add everything. We don't care about channel. We don't care about SKUs. We just want to add up everything. And we do know, by the way, and this is one of the reasons why we want to look at those individual cases, but we do know that, if you remember that panel graph, there were some new SKUs that came online that were offered at the end of that data set. So, if we were being nitpicky, we can pull those out, and obviously that would be less than what we have. But let's not,
Wasn't there one that they stopped selling too?
Yeah, and there were some that ended at the beginning too. So that could have caused some of the decline. And there were some that came on at the beginning that could cause some of the increase. What we really should do is examine only those SKUs that were sold for the entire period. The reason I didn't do that is I don't want to be accused of cherry picking the data. Oh, well, you only looked at these SKUs, If you look at those SKUs, then you get completely different results. And again, remember we're talking about not just this guy's livelihood. When I presented this in both New York and Paso Robles, it was all social media managers. So I had never seen so many skinny jeans and goatees in one room. And I really don't want to be in another room with skinny jeans and man buns, yeah. Apparently that's the standard attire for social media managers. Yeah, apparently I'm just not hip and cool enough to get it. Okay, so here's our prices. We had a couple other variables. This is cases and income. Let's see, what did we do? gonna give you a break. Was gonna have you go to the Federal Reserve database, extract the data in Excel, then import it into Stata, and then merge it with the wine data set. To me, it's a really good exercise, but there is, and it would probably add maybe another hour or so to
Oh
your.
my God.
That's too much?
I feel like we already spent like 48 hours on it.
Then 49 is a small fraction. It's a small fraction. But I'm not going to. But I'm not going to.
My dog has barely done one.
Okay, so we're not going to do it. I was going to have you do it. I've already got the do file set up. I was going to walk you through it, but I'll leave it in the data set because I was going to drop it. I'll leave it in the data set, so it's already there for you to use.
Thanks.
So if it's not there, make sure you're not going to. Make sure you email me and say, hey, you lied again. Kind of like you told us we weren't going to have to
Do a double regression.
do the double regression. I lied about that. And then here's the income and cases. Okay, we're going to have to, but ACV is pretty easy, but promotion we're going to have to generate. So this is going to take a couple of things. So let me run these first. And then we'll explain it. Okay, so for the first one, I'm going to construct a variable of just promoted cases. So how do I do that? For each period, right? For every new date, or date, whatever it is we called it. So for every period, tell me how many cases were sold on promotion. And how do I distinguish between promoted and non-promoted? Cases sub P, damn, that blade went right in my eye. Cases sub P are cases sold on promotion. So just add those up, that's what the total means. And again, you don't need the whole brand stuff. So add up all the cases sold on promotion.
Do you need add size to this one?
No.
Okay.
Add up, yeah, same thing now, add up all the cases sold off promotion. And again, NP is off promotion. So again, we don't care about feature and display, temporary price reduction, we don't need any of that stuff. We just want to know, are you promoting more, are you promoting less? Once I construct those two variables, then I'm going to generate the ratio of those two. And that's literally what this is. So by new date, comma sort, and I don't need an egen because I'm just doing a more simple mathematical process. So this is a gen, not an egen. So these two you need egen. So if you're using a mathematical like total, it's telling me to just add up all of them in there. Or mean was another one that we had to use egen. But here I'm just dividing, and I can use my little divide notation. I'm divided my promoted divided by non-promoted, and multiplying it times 100 to give me a percentage, fraction of the percentage. And this is the one we're going to use in our regression. So P promoted is the percent promoted. So we just want to see, again, we're trying to answer the question, are you promoting more aggressively? And I had in Paso Robles, I was literally trying to get in my car with my wife and kids in Paso Robles, and I had a girl that wouldn't let me close the door to the car, and she was just telling me kind of the history of what was going on at St. Supri, because she was actually there at the time. Apparently they, at that period, we're at that V period, in the middle of that V period, they just really changed management. They cleaned house and brought in all new people, and I guess the new people are the ones who came up with the idea to hire a social media manager. And that's also why they aggressively priced, they aggressively promoted. So there was a lot going on at that time. And to me, that's, like I said, that's good because, you know, these are all changes that we could measure. And it's really hard to measure the effect of social media. But what we can do is take this, what we're calling a residual approach, and say, okay, if we can explain sales, then, you know, what's left over, perhaps we can attribute to, you know, if that graph looked bad, and we'll look at the graph. If the graph is predicting poorly, then we can say, yeah, there's something going on here. Why can't we predict these? Okay, so here is cases and promotion. Nope, that's cases. That is promotion. Let's put them together. Yeah. So, again, you can see that, and I think this is why the regression does not fit as well. We kind of see this drifting downward, so they're using promotion less, and this coincides with this somewhat drifting downward. During the recession, they start the uptick in promotion, but as the woman in Paso Robles told me, that they had this house cleaning, and you can see why they cleaned house, as sales were doing poorly. They're on a long, you know, they weren't doing very well before the recession, and they were really hit pretty significantly with the recession. As they hired that social media manager and undertook a whole lot of other changes, pricing, promotion, you could see promotion start to increase a bit here. But again, the variance is just all over the place. And they start to slow it down here. So promotion's expensive. So it costs money to run a lot of these promotions. It looks like they, you know, were aggressively promoting to get out of the recession, and then they kind of weaned themselves off promoted sales back to the pre-recession, or I should say the pre-social media hiring period. And that's where promotion, that's why promotion doesn't appear to have as big of an effect. But it is a really good fit here in this period here. All right, ACV is, again, it's another variable in the data. We just need to aggregate it. And I didn't distinguish between promoted and non-promoted. I think that's all in the data also. But again, just by new date, instead of adding up ACV, we're taking the average ACV in each period. Remember, it's a measure of it's going to be our measure of distribution. And we said that it doesn't, it didn't really correlate all that well. It was following a downward trend. Probably explains some of this decrease here, but clearly doesn't explain much afterwards. Although it bounces up a little bit here. We're not going to look at price points. All right, if you look at the data set, there are 2,600 observations. But a lot of these are repeated observations in each time period. So if we tab, what are we using, date? We've really got multiple observations per date. And we really should only have one observation. There's only one total cases sold. There's only one price, so there should really only be one observation. So essentially what we want to do is collapse the data on date. So we should only have 117 observations, which is the number of periods we have. So we don't necessarily want to run a regression on this because it's almost like double counting observations. So we need to collapse this data. So we're going to collapse it. And yeah, collapse all of our variables. And then the final is by new date, or by date would work also. Or date 2 week.
So every single variable, or just the ones we've created? besides
Just
date
the
and
ones
month?
we're going to use. So we got month, we got total cases, mean price, total cases 2, mean. Actually, we don't even need total cases. We need total cases 2 and mean price 2. So yeah, we just need to save the ones or collapse the ones that we're going to use in the regression. So if we did it right, we should only have 117 observations. Oops. Did I not construct it? Yeah. One observation per period, which is really what we want. All right. Here is this my simple regression? Which regression is this? Oops. I need to generate some logs. Yep, generate cases. All right. Generate LN cases.